Hi, I'm Pastor Brent Kellogg of HillSpring Church in Sand Springs, Oklahoma. Thanks for visiting our YouTube channel. We'd love to invite you to join us for one of our worship services. It's a place where we can encourage you, show you love, and walk through life together. I hope the content you find here inspires you and helps you step into your life-giving destiny. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to be a part of what God's doing here at HillSpring Church.
Let me pray for you, and let's jump right into this. God, I love you, and I thank you for today. I thank you for letting us gather. I thank you for this time. And Lord, I do pray that you would do something incredible in our lives this morning. Jesus, I pray that you would work and move. It's in your name I pray. And everybody said, amen. I hope you're sitting down for this, but I want you to know that in my own life, I have endeavored and have been trying to at least go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, all right? That is my commitment. I'm trying to get to the gym. I know that's shocking to some of you, but that's what I'm trying to do. My problem is I go to Olive Garden 6 or 7 times a week, and so my ratios are a little uneven here, but it's all right. I do try to get to the gym. I do try to do things like that. I heard a guy talk a while ago about the fact that if you're anxious, one of the things to do is not sit in your anxious thoughts, but to get up and go walk and get up and go exercise or do something to kind of get active a little bit. And so that kind of motivated me to want to try to do more and try to get in the gym a little bit. And so we have been endeavoring to do this more. And so one of the things, though, is we're on top of that. I've learned that the thing I heard was you cannot outwork a bad diet, all right? And so I have a bad diet, and so I'm trying to get better eating healthier too. And so we added in protein shakes. Anyone like a protein shake person in this room? Anyone love protein shakes? You're that kind of person? You're sicko. You're a sicko, all right? That's okay. It's all right. We're trying though, so I'm going to show you that we have tried. So this is our legitimate blender at home. You can tell that it's not been used, and it's not plugged in, so it's like I'm at home right now, all right? We buy our shakes. And what I've learned, though, is to make a protein shake, you have some ingredients. Now, this might be highly controversial to some of you guys because for some of you, you have a macros thing, and you have all this kind of, I don't know any of that. Here's what we got. We got blueberries, all right? So we throw a little bit of blueberries in there, more than a little bit in there, okay? All right? We're banana people, so we put bananas in there, okay? Those weren't ripe, but that's what they are. Put those in there. We put some protein powder in there, which is the most disgusting part of it all. We put that in there and just kind of film it out there, okay? It's good. And then you gotta get the milk. Now, I have, unfortunately, become a soy milk person, okay? I'm embarrassed to say it myself, all right? Some of you guys, that's what you do, but if I drink regular milk, this is how weak of a human being I am. I have to take pills. And so take a little bit of milk, you pour it on in there. Might be a little too much, I don't know. Too much? No, that's good, that's good. Too much? Yeah, I've outdone the goodness to it with that milk. I know, I get that, okay? You put it on there, and then obviously you press it and you stir it up. Okay. Now, here's what I know as I've been trying to get in the gym a little bit more. Gym culture is a weird thing. I don't know if you belong to a gym. I don't know if you're like one of those kind of hardcore guys that like, I don't need a gym. I use my basement and I lift up, concrete blocks. That might be you. That's great if that is. Whatever you got to do. All right. But I know that for some of us, when you think of a gym, like I attend Planet Fitness, and for some of you, you're meatheads, and you're like, that's not even a gym, all right? I get that, okay? I get that, but that's where I go. And gym culture is an odd culture, man. It's crazy. The amount of ways and the amount of times people try to act like they're not looking at themselves in the mirror the whole time, right? It's insane. They act like it's not happening, but they are. And one of the things that always happens in every gym. At the gym that you go to, if you go, you'll notice there's this one guy. Every time, there's this one guy. Now, I don't know if he's in the room. I'm not going to say that guy's in this room. But if I was going to randomly pick a name for this gym guy, I would call him Neil. All right, let me say Neil. And the Neil guy in the gym, he's this guy that he walks in the gym confidently, okay? Like outside, he's just walking like this, but when he gets in the gym, he puffs up, right? He does that move, right? He has the too small tank top on, right? That's just like, he has veins popping out of his arms because there's no blood circulating there, right? That's that guy. Has his AirPods in, he's carrying in one hand his protein shake right over there, and then the other hand, he's carrying a gallon of water, all right? He bypasses the Smith machines because he's better than that. He bypasses the cardio machines because he's all about gains, all right? That's his thing. And every day for this Neil guy would be chest day, all right? That's his life. Not anyone you know, probably, right? Neil gets to the gym, and he gets to the bench press, and he gets to the bar. And Neil, you know, he probably doesn't need massive weight, but he's going to load up that bar no matter what, all right? So he's going to put 3 45s on each side, right? He's going to get ready, and he's confident that he can lift this. And so this is what happens. I've seen this happen numerous times while I've been at the gym. They got the bar, they got all the weight on it, too much weight for them to handle. They get under the bar, they get on the bench, they put their arms on it, and then what ends up happening, they try to lift, and nothing moves. You know that guy, right? You know that guy. Gym culture is weird. You think you've got it, but you don't. And so then there's a dilemma that this gym guy has. Here's the dilemma. What do I do? Because if you're a man, you cannot get up and take the weights off that bar, all right? Because everyone's going to see you, and they're going to make fun of you. And if they don't, I will, right? That's what would happen. So you have to make a decision. Am I going to move the weight off? Am I just going to am I going to knuckle up and just do it? Are you going to do that? Or are you going to do what Pastor Matt does sometimes and take his phone out and act like he got an emergency call and then just run out of the gym and go home? Those are your options that you have there. But gym culture is weird. But it's crazy because when you think about these guys that are in there, and I just got protein powder all over me. When you think about these guys, there's a lot of pride in the gym. There's a lot of measuring contests happening in the gym. And there's this idea that I can do it. I've got it. I can lift it myself. And again, like I said, there's tons and tons and tons of pride in the gym. And here's where I want to connect this to what we're going to talk about today. Pride in the gym leads to a lot of embarrassment. But also in your own life, pride can lead to a lot of embarrassment. The Bible tells us that pride comes before the fall, before destruction happens. And we've been in the book of Esther for a couple weeks now, and the story of Haman is the story of pride going unchecked. It's the story of pride in our life blowing up and becoming bigger than it should be. Pride was the thing that suffocated Haman's life and ultimately killed him. Pride will always load more weight on you than your character can ever hold. You don't have it. And pride is that thing that will keep it together. So today we're going to talk about the rise and the fall of Haman and the weight of pride in our life. And pride comes up in numerous ways, and so we're going to jump through a couple of these. Are you guys all with me right now? Okay. We're going to be in and out of this place real quick. So first pride that some of us deal with in this room is the ego pride. It seems like the same thing, but it's the ego pride. It's the idea of I need you to recognize me. I need you to recognize me. Esther chapter 3 says this, after all of this, what is this? Real quick, just a recap. This is the story. Mordecai he's the good guy in this story. And Mordecai had helped kind of save the king from an assassination plot. And so Mordecai he didn't get any kind of honor for that, but he went out and he was selfless and he saved the king from an assassination attempt. And so it says, after all this took place, king, don't know his name, honored Haman, son of, not going to do that one, the Agagite. He promoted him in rank, and he gave him a higher position than all other officials. He promoted him, and he gave him a higher position than all other people. He was promoted. Haman was promoted. And yet, with this promotion, what we see in the story is Haman took that promotion not only as something good that happened to him, but he let it become his identity completely. He let what he got become his identity. The ego type of pride is one that says, I need everyone to recognize me and my importance. I need everyone to recognize what I do and how important I am to this organization. And I think a lot of us, we grew up maybe in Christian homes or we grew up in youth groups, and maybe we should have been discipled more in those youth groups or in those churches, but a lot of times we're discipled by the world around us. And so for us, when we talk about ego, we mask it because ego seems like kind of a bad word, so we mask it with other words. We say, well, it's my self-worth, or it's my ambition, or it's my confidence. And again, those things, self-worth, ambition, confidence, those aren't wrong things, but when you mix them up into your pride and when they become your identity, that's when it becomes a sinful place. When it's all about recognizing me and my achievements. This is the ego type of pride. Some of you guys work for that person. Some of you guys are married to that person. Some of you guys are that person. And the ego pride is one that says, you need to recognize and see me for who I am. It moves away from, you know what? God has blessed me. God has done things to me that I don't deserve to. I did this myself. That's where pride comes into the picture. Haman was promoted. He was above everyone else. And because of his promotion, he believed that everyone in the room should bow down every time he walks around them. That everyone's lower than me. That was his idea. And he took that promotion as an identity thing. So for you, what do you do when applause stops in your life? What do you do when people get recognized that are not you? How do you handle when somebody else gets the credit for maybe your idea? This is where the ego pride comes in. I'm not saying that you should beat yourself down. I'm not saying you should lower your self-worth. I'm not saying that at all. But what do you do when all eyes aren't on you anymore? This is a struggle for a lot of us. Haman, he needed to be validated for his importance. He fed off of it. And the problem is that when your worth is built on being noticed, when somebody ignores you, it feels like it's an attack on you. His ego would not let him get past what Mordecai was doing. A couple of questions for you to think about if this is one of your struggles. Do you feel like you're still valuable if no one even noticed you? Now, again, I'm not trying to beat your self-worth up, but when you're at work or whatever leadership position, whatever ministry position you're in, what happens if somebody else gets ahead of you? Do you do things to be seen, or do you do things because they're right and honoring to God? And really the question is, and the big one for me is it okay if it's just God's eyes that see me? The Bible over and over says, don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. We struggle a lot of times about what we post on social media sometimes because we don't want to seem like we're bragging. We struggle sometimes about what we say up here about what the church has done because we don't want to seem like we're bragging. But is it enough if it's just God's eyes seeing you? All right, let's go to the next one. You guys still good? Here's the next one. The next pride that we can look at would be, and this one's probably for a lot of us, the offense pride. It's this one saying, how dare you? How dare you? Esther 3 says this, when Haman saw that Mordecai was not bowing down or paying him homage, he was filled with rage. When he saw that Mordecai would not bow down, it angered him. But it didn't just do that. And when he learned of Mordecai's ethnic identity, it seemed repugnant to Haman to do away with Mordecai alone. And so he planned to destroy all of Mordecai's people, the Jews throughout the kingdom. Haman was so angry, so offended that he wouldn't bow down to him, that not only was he angry at Mordecai, he was angry at the entire nation of Israel. And he wanted to get rid of all of them. So there's a study that was done in psychology today. This is crazy that people spent money on this. But they had a study about text message emojis, okay? Let me just do a poll in this room. How many of you guys are just better at texting than calling? How many of you guys are better at texting than calling? Yeah. How many of you guys love calls over texts? Anyone? Okay, yeah. You're not my people, but that's okay. We can be friends still, all right? That's how it works. It's fun. What they found out, though, was when you're texting somebody, they were talking about what's the best type of emoji to use. And so they came up with one of the most controversial emojis. And we might need to blur the screen, but I'm going to put it up here for you. Okay? It's this one right here, all right? The thumbs up emoji. Now, what they found out, and again, people spent money on this test, but what they found out was that if you were born in the mid-90s, if you were born in the mid-90s or before, if you asked somebody a question and they just gave your question a thumbs up, or you said something, they gave you a thumbs up, you're good. That means they're good, you're happy, whatever. But if you're born mid-90s and after that, if someone thumbs up your comment or thumbs up your question, that's seen as offensive to them. Let me break it down. People are offended over emojis at this point, all right, in the world, all right? That's where we're at. People are offended by the emojis. Now, again, in this story, Haman found a place of offense. Haman found a place of offense that he got out of Mordecai. Mordecai refused to bow down to Haman. And it threw him into a rage. Now, I want you to think about Haman's life. He was succeeding in life. He got the promotion. He got the money. He got everything he wanted, everything he needed. He got that stuff. He was building his life and his legacy. And yet he was focused on one thing, the offense that was given to him by Mordecai. He could not see the blessings because of the offense that was right in front of him. And some of you guys and some of me right here on this stage would say that I've lived in a prison of offense and not seen what God would do through my life because I've sat there and just thought about who's offended me before. Some of us in this room, we let minor things become major things, and that's all we focus on. Well, can you believe they would do that to me? How dare they say that to me? Do they know that I give to the church? You do what God called you to do? Okay, great, right? Do they understand that I've been at this church for a long time? Okay? They're living in offense. And I'm telling you, when you live in offense, when you let offense be the lens by which you live everything else in your life, pride will take that offense and it will magnify it and it will minimize everything else going on in your life. Haman had a lot of good things happening around him. And yet all he could think about was that one moment, that one person who would not honor him. This is the person that lives in offense, that constantly replays conversations over and over and over. The one who imagines confrontations. The one who builds arguments that will never, ever happen. This person who's living in offense. I love what Proverbs says right here. It says, a person's insight gives him patience, and his virtue is to overlook an offense. HillSpring, can we live unoffendable lives? Can we live unoffendable lives? Can you actually just, crazy idea here, let something just roll off your back? Why do you give space to things that really don't matter? Why do you care about somebody's opinion that you would never ask their opinion of anyways? Can we live unoffended lives? Can you believe that sometimes somebody's not going to agree with you? I know it's crazy, but it's going to happen. Do you understand? Pastor Brent and I've been with Pastor Brent for 20 plus years. He and I don't agree on the day of the week half the time. But we can live unoffended lives. HillSpring, we need to be those people that live unoffended lives. Don't let offense fester in your heart. Not only did Haman get mad at Mordecai, think about what happened. It festered to the point that he said, you know what? Not only do I hate Mordecai, I hate his family. Not only do I hate his family, I hate the whole nation of Israel. I want them all destroyed. Offense, it might seem small, but it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. And it doesn't destroy everyone else around you. You'll see that in the story. It destroys you. How much are you going to let offense take over your life? Again, some of us are letting minor offenses become major prisons of our heart. So here's my question to you. What offense are you still carrying in your heart? I love you. God, I love you so much. You know the Bible tells us that before you even come into worship, before you come to worship, you need to make it right with your brother and your sister. Before you get in front of the Lord himself, you got to make it right with your brother and your sister. Some of you today, the most holy thing you can do is get your phone out and text someone you're sorry. The most important thing you can do for some of you is just that you start to forgive that person. What offense are you holding in your heart? Are you letting offense rob you of joy and peace and the blessing that God has for you? You have all this good stuff happening, but you can only focus on what your ex did to you. You have all this great stuff happening, but you can only focus on what your boss said to you that time. Hey, I get it. They might have been sinful. But are you harboring that in your heart and letting it grow into bitterness? Let's go to the next one. Everyone still good? Third one here is material pride. This is kind of it kind of goes to the first one, but it's a little different. It's the I did this myself. I did this, okay? So in the story, Haman, he sees what's going on. He wants Mordecai gone. He wants Mordecai killed. He wants him out of the picture. And then we go into the book of Esther, chapter 5. And it says this, Haman described for them, this is his family and his friends, his glorious wealth and his many sons. He told them how the king had honored him and promoted him in rank. He was always dropping his title, always dropping the things that he did, how great he was, all the money he had. Telling everybody, you guys know that person, right? Always talking about all the stuff he had amassed. And all the officials and royal staff. And they said, what's more, Haman added, Queen Esther. She invited no one but me to join the king at the banquet that she had prepared. Esther had invited Haman over. She had kind of a plan going on. She invited him over to the king's banquet. He said, I'm invited again even tomorrow to join her with the king. Still, none of this satisfies me. Right there. None of this will satisfy me. I got presents with the king and the queen, but none of it will satisfy me since I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate all the time. His wife Zeresh and all his friends told him, have them build gallows 75 feet tall. Ask the king in the morning to hang Mordecai on it, then go to the banquet with the king and enjoy yourself. The advice pleased him, and so he had the gallows constructed. This one's a lot like the ego one, but this one also rejoices in all the stuff that they had amassed. Person who's always bragging. You saw in the story, he said, hey, he's telling everybody, you know, I got invited to be with a queen. I got invited to be with the king. Like, that was me. I did that myself. I did this. He feels slighted when others don't recognize him because of, who he is. Here's a good prayer for us to pray as people. We need to pray for a little bit more self-awareness. I know I need to pray for a lot more self-awareness. That I don't become this person that's always talking about all the things I've achieved and all the things that I've done to make you feel some kind of, make you feel impressed with me. Haman achieved so much, but again, one man was stealing all of his joy. And instead of him just stopping and being self-aware enough to ask, why does this bother me so much? He created more problems. He wanted to go after him and his family. Just a quick reminder, I love what Jeremiah says right here. The book of Jeremiah says, let not the wise boast of their wisdom. Don't let the strong boast of their strength, or the rich boast of their riches. Here's what we're called to boast in. But let the one who boasts boast about this, that they have the understanding to know me. God calls us, HillSpring Church, God calls us, if you want to boast in anything, don't boast in your riches, don't boast in the things that you've done. It's not about that. Boast in the fact, the thing that we can ultimately stand upon is the fact that we know God. That we have the ability to know him and to love him and to be in relationship with him. There is nothing else that there is to boast about. Everything else is just sand that'll wash away. What matters is that your name is written in the book of life. We boast in the fact that we know who God is. God is not impressed with your resume. He's drawn to your relationship. And so again, the greatest boast that you can boast in is the fact of not what you've done, but who you belong to. So let me keep going. And if any of this is stepping on your toes, just know it stepped on my toes all week long. I am not any better than any of this. Let's go to the next one. The entitlement pride. Well, it should be me. It should have been me. It's really like a thing now to just say the next generation is entitled. We're all entitled, okay? All of us. If you live in America, you're breathing in air right now. You probably have a little bit of entitlement inside of you. That's how we are. Overnight, we're going to read Esther chapter 6, but overnight the king, he couldn't sleep. And so he had someone come up there and read to him the stories of what's happened in the kingdom. And they got to the point where it tells the story of Mordecai saving the king from being killed. And so the king's excited, says, hey, we need to honor Mordecai. The king asked him, what should be done? He asked Haman. He said, Haman, I want to ask you, what should be done for the man the king wants to honor? Haman thought to himself, who is it the king would want to honor more than me? This is entitlement. The king wants to honor Mordecai. Haman thinks it's all about him. It should be me. He wants to honor me. So let's keep going. Haman told the king, for the man the king wants to honor, have them bring a royal garment that the king himself has worn and a horse the king himself had ridden. Because again, Haman thinks this is about him. Like, if you're going to honor me, let's honor me in a big way. Put a royal crown on his head, put the garment and the horse under the charge of one of the king's most noble officials, have them clothe the man the king wants to honor. Parade him on the horse through the city square and call out before him, this is what is done for the man the king wants to honor. Haman, again, thinks this is all about him. And the king told Haman, hurry and do just as you proposed. I love that idea. Do that. Take a garment and a horse and give it to Mordecai the Jew who is sitting at the king's gate. Don't leave out anything you suggested. So Haman took the garment and the horse. This is the irony of the story. He put it on Mordecai. He paraded him through the city square, calling out before him, this is what's done for the man the king wants to honor. Then Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman hurried off for home, mournful and with his head covered. Haman's whole life is, it should have been me. Why was this not me? The king should honor me. They should recognize me. They should do what I want to do. This was Haman's downfall. This is the pride of life. In our house, we have little Max, and Max is the sweetest, cutest little boy, right? He's incredible, all right? Until he's not, all right? Let me be honest. He can be a terror sometimes. And some of it, it's like he wants to have fun. He wants to call his Nene. He wants to call his friend Alex. He wants to see all of his friends. And he gets hyper-focused sometimes. And here's the deal. He will play in his own little world, do his own little thing, until you have a toy that he wants. Now, this is kids, right? This is what babies do, all right? Here's the problem. He didn't care about that toy at all, but until you have it in your hand, now he wants it. Here's the problem. Not only does he want it, he deserves it. It's his toy. He'll walk up and grab it and say, mine. And if he doesn't get it, he falls on the ground, cries, and throws a temper tantrum. Now, this is baby action. But a lot of us don't grow out of that. We just mask it in different ways and say different things. This is the story of Haman again. This should have been me. That should have been mine. This was about me. Do they not understand all that I have done? I deserve this. Entitlement, pride, it always says that I've earned this. I've done it myself. Where we have to get in the idea that grace is what drives our life. Grace says God's given me more than I could ever deserve. Entitlement says, no, I did this myself. Hey, you know that you're in the presence of God a lot when you realize that everything you've done couldn't have been done without God's help. Well, I built it myself. Did you? Or did God equip you? And if you built it yourself, I'd be really scared that it was built on sand. It's an old theologian. That's what is done for Christ will last forever. Everything else is just shifting sand. What have you built for Christ? Do you have entitlement, pride in your own life that it should have been me? Can we do one more? Are you guys okay to do one more? All right, then we're going to be out of here. You can go to Mazio's. Here we go. Here's the last one. Self-reliant pride. This is the phrase, I got this. I'm going to assume, not judge, I'm going to assume that in this room, this is probably the most predominant one that we have. I got it. I'll take care of it. I don't need help. I can do it myself. I talked about Max, so let me give you a little Nicole story. Nicole is 5 years old, and she's so sweet, and she's so awesome. And she's growing independent, and I love that, man. Cassie's always telling her she's a boss babe. She's a boss lady, right? We're growing a monster. And so, and Nicole, she emulates a lot. Her and Max both, they emulate a lot. In the mornings, my favorite thing is when Max gets up, he goes, boosh, means he wants to go brush his teeth. And he doesn't know how to, but he goes in there and he puts his stool down next to Nicole. And he gets a toothbrush. Sometimes I accidentally give him Cassie's. And he takes and he starts trying to brush his teeth. And he doesn't know what he's doing, but he'll go like he's spitting it, right? I mean, that's his thing. It's so cute. Nicole, she's so independent. She's always bossing him, and she's always telling him what to do. And then it starts to move into she's always trying to tell me what to do. And she's just this independent girl. Now, this is the crazy part. There's a lot of things that she still can't do. And so sometimes I say, hey, Nicole, let me do it. Let me help you here. Let me help you here. No, I got it. And it always takes a lot longer if she has it. What we could get done in 5 seconds takes 25 seconds. It takes a minute, right? Because she's got to grab a hold and say, I got it. And I love that about her because I want her to be independent. I want her to be able to do what she wants. But sometimes I've just got to do it for her. But again, she pulls back. No, I've got it. This is mine. And again, she's very bold, very, very bold for a girl who needs a step stool to brush her teeth, all right? But this is the same thing is I've got this. I can put it in my hands. I can handle it myself. Whatever comes my way, I don't need anyone else. I've got this myself. This is mine. This is what I have. Esther chapter 7 tells a story of the king finally understanding. Esther tells the king, you know what? Haman's out to get us. Haman's out to kill Mordecai. Haman built these gallows to kill Mordecai and all of my people. And the king is furious. We've talked about the rise of Haman. Here's the fall of Haman in chapter 7. Haman remained to beg Queen Esther for his life because he realized the king was planning something terrible for him. Not one time in this story do you ever see Haman say, you know what, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have been angry at Mordecai. That was my fault. He never says this. He just starts begging for his life. Hey, I need something. The only thing I have left is something I've got to do. So he starts begging and begging and begging. And the irony of this story is incredible. And just as the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet hall, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was reclining. The king said, would he actually violate the queen while I'm in the house? And as soon as the statement left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, said, there is gallows 75 feet tall at Haman's house that he made for Mordecai. He gave the report that he saved the king. The king said, hang him on it. This is not in the kids' Bible. And they hanged Haman on the gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Pride goes before the fall. Pride goes before destruction. The thing that Haman built to kill the man that offended him, he ended up dying on. The pride in your heart that you're holding on to, the offense in your heart that you're holding on to, the self-reliance that you are holding on to in your heart, you might not feel like it's anything, but it will eventually suffocate you. And it will eventually hurt you. And it's the same thing in this story, that what he built for somebody else's destruction came upon himself because of his own pride, because he couldn't see what he had done in his own life. He never apologized, but he let the poison of pride into his heart and let it destroy his life. And so, real quick, let's finish it up here. What can we do? We have pride in our life. All of us do. What can we do to work on that and work through it? Here's the first thing I would say. Let God's greatness shrink your ego. Isaiah chapter 6 tells the story of Isaiah going in front of God. We all say, man, I want God's presence. I want to be in the presence of God. I want God to stand in front of me. We want to do that. But the Bible tells us that when people would actually stand in front of God, the thing that would happen is they'd fall on their faces. Because God's holiness and his perfection and his greatness, because he was so colossal, it would do something to a man to say, you know what, I'm undone. I'm not perfect. This is why we get into the presence of God daily, because we have to realize that, you know what, there's some stuff screwed up inside of me, but because I know God, he can work those things out of me, because it's not by me, but it's by his greatness. It's not my ego. I don't have it together. It's God who has it together. And if I can rely on him and his grace and his mercy, then maybe I can take another step. Get in God's presence through scripture reading. Get in God's presence through prayer. Hey, I get it. That's all the same stuff we say every single week because it's what God calls us to do. Don't give up. Let God's greatness shrink your ego. I promise you this. No one gets in front of God and boasts. No one gets in front of God and says, you know what I did for you? That never happens. Let God's greatness shrink your ego. So next one. Admit you need help. Admit you just need help. We're starting up small groups soon. Just a quick reminder to you that in our small group system, in our small group semester, you need a group of people around you that can just, let me be honest, if you have a group of people around you that are just agreeing with everything you're doing, you're around the wrong people sometimes. You need somebody to say, hey, you know what? I have these people in my life. You know what? That wasn't in line with who you say you're supposed to be. You need help here? Let me pray for you. You need help? Let me work with you. Let's talk about it. Let's go a little bit deeper on that. That's what we hope. That's what we wish for our small groups to be. For you, the guys in this room, Remnant, it's coming up in 2 weeks. You need to be a part of that. You sit with people that can tell you, you know what, you need to think about this when you're talking about your wife. You need to think about this when you're thinking through these ideas. You can't do it alone. Admit that you need a little bit of help in your life. And here's the last one. Last one is this one. It's easy to say, but it's kill pride daily. Kill pride daily. I want to use this last scripture. This is what Jesus said. You've heard it a million times. But it's this right here. That if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. Kill pride daily. Now, I want to go back to the idea of gym culture real quick, if you don't mind. And so, right here, and I'm sure this milk is spoiled at this point, but if I plug this in and I got it all blended up, it would be probably fine to drink. Be fine with it, all right? Be fine. No issues here. But here's the deal. If I added a little bit extra, okay? Just added a little bit extra something. I'm just going to find something here. I got a bottle of Drano here, okay? I didn't know this would ruin this blender. It says you're not supposed to touch Drano, but it's all over my hands right now. Let me ask you this. Just in your own life, in your own pride, there's some things that you know, that you're holding on to. Your achievements, or you need to be recognized. You've got to be on the front page. So let me ask you this. Just a little bit of pride, is that okay? You can still drink that. Probably wouldn't hurt, right? If I post it on Instagram, I want to see how many likes I get. I need them to know my title. I needed to know how much I built. See, here's the deal. If I put this together and we blended it together, who's drinking that? Right? Who's drinking that? Now, if the youth group is here, they'd all raise their hand and say they would drink it, okay? Yeah. That's a problem into itself. Kill pride daily, because a little bit of pride will destroy your life. It says it. Pride comes before the fall. Here's another really scary scripture. It says that God opposes the proud. I want you to hear that language. God opposes. God stands against. God fights against. God pushes back against those who are proud. Why is God not answering my prayers? Maybe you need to look into your heart. Why is he not helping me build it? Maybe there's something in your heart you need to fix first. God opposes the proud, gives grace to the lowly. What parts of pride in your life do you need to kill every single day? Just a little bit okay? If God loves you and cares for you, then today your heart should be convicted, just like mine has been, about the fact that there's pride in my life that I've got to get rid of. And if I want God to do something truly great through my life every single day, I've got to kill that pride. HillSpring, there's a mission in front of us. There's incredible things going on in front of us. Let's not be the one that holds the whole thing back because of the pride and ego in our hearts. Amen? God, I love you, and Lord, I thank you for today, and I thank you for this room. I thank you for letting us gather here. And Jesus, I pray with all hope and humility that, God, today you would just work in my own personal heart. Jesus, I pray that you would just break inside of me the things that break your heart. Lord, it's not about me. It's not about the name of HillSpring. It's all about you. And Jesus, remind me of that every single day. Remind me that it's not about me. God, break the entitlement in me. Break the self-reliance in me. The ego, break all of that. And help us to take steps forward as your humble servant people. God, I love you. I thank you for who you are. I thank you for this place. And it's in your incredible name that I pray. And everybody said, HillSpring, I love you guys with all of my heart.